Hello everyone, welcome to my fourth field report for my dream catalog. I'm going to switch things up a little bit with this video because I got a tad bit behind, but as a result I can reflect on the entirety of March in one go, so I'm going to do that. But quick recap before that, the second half of February held the same patterns I've been seeing most of this year as far as averages in the felt significance categories. Lucid dreams were down. I only had one in all of February. However, I did have a monumental internal shift happen the week of February 15th through 22nd, which lined up with some really significant astrology, both personal and in the collective. So I really felt my dream time leading up to that week, and then was pretty surprised at how big of a shift actually happened in that time. I talk about that in my Dream Catalog Report 3, which I will link below if you're curious. Okay, moving on to March. So this may have been the most significant dreaming month I've had since beginning to track almost a year ago. So to break this down, 1/3 of my dreams this month were in the category 3 and 4 zone, which is kind of insane. So I had 0 category 5 dreams. I had 2 dreams that I would put in this like 3.5 to 4 zone. I had 9, 2.5 to 3. Let's see. 8 category 2 and 12 category 1. So these are pretty standard, but this is a pretty significant bump up, and having 2 in this category is also a pretty big deal. And honestly, I've been a little overwhelmed by the amount of potent content and struggling to actually find the time to deeply work with all of it. Thankfully, what I really absorbed last month is that most of the category 1 and 2 dreams, what they're doing is actually integrating the larger arc content. So that's keeping me more balanced in my approach to this month's dreams. This month was also lower than average with only 1 lucid dream in the month, but I guess that just ebbs and flows. We'll see if that changes a little bit. So a little context. I spent December through early March in Japan working as a backcountry snowboard guide, and then went to Hawaii on the way back to Wyoming. I'd never been to Hawaii before, and it's been showing up in my dreams for the past year. So pretty much as soon as I arrived, my dreams kicked up a notch, like significantly, particularly when I was on the Big Island. And that would have been like right here in this zone of the month. So this is like March 1st. This is March 31st, and I basically mapped out by felt significance this wave form of the significance of the dreams throughout the month. So I had 4 significant dreams in the 6 days while I was on the Big Island. So it was a 2.5, a 4, a 3, and a 3.5. I then spent 2 days at home in Wyoming, and then traveled to upstate New York to spend a week with some dear friends there, and then on to Austin, Texas for a week at the Dharma Artist Collective in-person retreat. Leading up to the retreat and while in it, a fair amount of weirdness started cropping up in my dreams, like prophetic things, dreaming things that I found out later actually happened in other people's lives, having the same dream as someone else, that kind of thing. It felt like bumping into other people's dream spaces, but together. So I've been tracking these occurrences pretty specifically for the last year as well, and have noticed that in group containers where there's some aspect of spirituality present, the weirdness shows up a lot more. I still don't really know what to do with that, but I'll keep tracking the data and just see what continues to emerge. So this was kind of this whole zone at the DAC retreat. Normally when traveling, I have a much harder time sleeping and also recalling my dreams. So I was a bit worried about this with the amount of movement I knew I'd have in March and into April. Usually what happens is, even though I would still dream all night, once I woke up I'd recall almost nothing. But something a little different is happening this time. Though I've been having similar struggles, like I just barely eke out something that I remember. Sometimes after sitting up and starting to move a little bit, the rest of the dream will just flood in. Or like initially when I'd be trying to recall the dream, I'd remember nothing, and then for whatever reason a little bit later it would come back and I'd remember a bunch, and it would end up being kind of significant. So that's been an odd and very helpful development, to not just entirely lose my dreams while traveling. And I think it's perhaps related to a level of vigilance and anxiety continuing to fall away, that really began throughout this past winter. And I've been able to follow my psyche's journey with that through my dreams. And I told the story with a little bit more detail in my winter recap video, which I'll also link below if you're interested. I'll be traveling a bunch in April as well, so we'll see if the trend keeps up or not. All right. I had a request to share a little bit more actual dream content in these videos, so I'm going to do that. The Big Island has consistently woven herself into my dreams since leaving there, and I continue to have the ocean and bodies of water show up a lot, like multiple times a week. And this has been true for most of the past year, but it's like particularly active in the last few weeks. So I'd be very curious if this is happening for anyone else. Let me know. I'm in a big period of transition right now, particularly around where I want to live and what it actually looks like to step deeply into living my Dharma. So my recent dreams are very tied to that. I've been noticing a trend in the last week or two where I'm having a reoccurring form emerge of not being well defined in the presence of the masculine. And so the result is usually just going along with whatever the male figure in my dream is trying to do. And this will carry a feeling of uncertainty and a lack of solidity within myself around whatever's taking place. And I think it's highlighting where I'm not self-defined, almost as a habit, but my soul is asking me to deepen into that place and really start to bring some solidity and clarity and conviction there. So while this reoccurring shape isn't necessarily immediately obvious, upon digging into the dreams, the shape in different forms continues to emerge. And I think this goes along well with my concept of cycle arcs throughout the month, where dreams and waking life are breathing into each other as my psyche really interacts with and moves deeply through a common theme, AKA growth. I think I'm in the next layer of growth in this area, which makes a lot of sense after the big lessons I received this winter around confidence and the masculine. It's like I'm deepening into those themes on a more profound and internal level that I think will bring forward some pretty major changes and expression in my life. All right, lastly, I would like to share the Category 4 dream that I had my first night on the Big Island a few weeks ago. It's short, but potent for me. I'd also like to share some related art that I made a week or so before traveling to Hawaii. Early on, there's not much that I remember, but there are a series of dreams where I am my friend John, and I'm living on the Big Island. And being John is somehow a hollowed out, addicted version of me, and that part in me still finds a home here on the Big Island. The shadow parts of me find a home here as well, and they're also welcome, and there's a place for them. Then there's another scene where I'm kneeling on the ground. My feet are on the ground, my hands are on the ground, and I'm bearing down my chest towards the ground. And it's like my heart comes out through my chest and is born here. It's like I give birth to my heart here on the Big Island. And with that, thank you for your time, keep dreaming, and I'll see you next month.